Have you ever wondered how do you get a cinematic look to your real estate videos but have no idea how to do that using your iPhone? Well, today I'm going to share with you 3 tips that you can use to help you get that cinematic look to your real estate videos just using your phone. Hey, I'm Chrissy Ball, a real estate agent using my 20 years of Hollywood experience to bring those tips and tricks to helping you create great video content for your business. And so I get asked this question all of the time. What settings should I use to make my videos look more professional? And so I want to explain to you how your videos will look more professional and what do they use doing feature films to make their content look the way it does. Then I'm going to share with you different apps that I use to accomplish this look. And then finally, I'm going to show you some video examples of me out using my different using the camera apps in different ways so that you can see the difference and then try that on your own and see which one you like the best. So to give you a little history, feature films use what's called frames per second. It's the frame rate of the camera, literally the frame rate. So think back in the day when they used to shoot feature films, and they would actually use real film, and the film each frame would go through the camera would be that many frames per second. And so if you're thinking about 24 frames per second, that's how many frames would go through the camera per second to give it that look. And so when we get our iPhones, usually the default is set on what's called 30 frames per second, which gives us that kind of home video look. And so if you don't have any idea on well, first of all, if you've never heard of frame rate or didn't have any idea that your camera was already preset, then you wouldn't know that you can change your camera settings and give yourself this different look without spending any money. So the first way to change this frame rate is to pull out your iPhone and go to the settings, that little gear that you see on your home screen, and you're gonna press it and open up your camera settings and scroll down. If you have a lot of apps like me, you'll have to scroll for a little while, and then you'll find the camera icon. And so when you find the camera icon, you're going to click on that. And when you open it up, you're going to find at the top, record video. Now you're going to see that my camera is already set on 4K at 24 FPS or 24 frames per second. Now, usually it's going to say 30 FPS because that's the default that the iPhone is usually set on. So you want to click record video, and you're going to go into that area of your phone, and then you're going to see all the different options that you can use to set your camera. So you can change from 4K to 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, or 60 frames per second. So if you're freaking out a little bit, wondering how you're going to remember everything, don't worry about it. Because if you just look down, you have little reminders in parentheses of what each frame rate looks like, depending on what it's set at. And so when we have it on 24 frames per second, it says film style. Or I often shoot home video tours when I'm using my iPhone setting at 60 frames per second because that gives it a smoother look. Now that is a pro tip. Remember, if you're shooting a home tour and you're shooting a room, then I recommend you changing your settings to 60 frames per second. And then when you're editing, change it back to 24. Now that might sound a little bit confusing, but when you actually go through the steps, it is pretty simple to do. It's just making sure that you're aware of the frame rates. So you'll see that I play in here and I click the 24 or I go down to the 60, and all you do is literally tap it and that's it. It's already changed and your camera is set for how you want it when you open up the camera setting. So now we're going to go to the second way that you can change your camera settings. So I'm going to go back so that it's not so fast. And you're going to go back to your home screen on your iPhone. And you're going to see your camera icon this time. And so you're going to hit that camera icon and it's going to open up. And usually mine defaults to photo. So that's the first thing that you'll want to change is switching it from photo to video. And so if you'll notice at the top right corner of my phone, you'll see 4K.24. So because I just changed my frame rate in the settings, that's what my camera is defaulted on now is 24 frames per second. But if you want to change this quickly, all you do is go up to that top right corner, hit on the 24. Well, I zoom out here first, hit on the top right corner, and then I change it to 30 and then 60. And then I zoom out so that I get that full view again. So if you notice, and my phone is an iPhone 12 Pro, I think. So I've got the 3 cameras on the back, and so I'm able to zoom out and have a much wider shot, which is what I do when I am shooting my home tours. But here I have changed it to 60 frames per second right in the camera app. So it's very quick. It's very simple. All you do is press that top right corner. So now I want to share with you another app that I absolutely love using, and it's called Filmic Pro. And so before I go into this app, you can download this. And at the time of recording this, I'm not quite sure how much it costs. I will make sure that it's in the description below so that you can download this app and know exactly how much it costs. But it is worth its weight in gold because of the quality of video you're able to shoot when you're using this app simply by having your iPhone. And so you're going to go back onto your home screen, find your Filmic Pro app and click on it. And it's going to open up and you're going to see that there are a lot of buttons down at the bottom. And so if you see that little gear icon that is 3 over from the right side, click on that and it's going to open up all of your settings that you can go into and make changes within this app. And so if you look at the top towards the left, you'll see frame rate. So you want to tap that frame rate and there you go. It opens up all the different options that you can have to change your frame rate within this app. Now look at how many more options you have to use within Filmic Pro. So now you can see why I love using this app so much. So you can click it onto 24 frames per second, and that's the default for Filmic Pro because Filmic Pro understands that the main objective is to have that cinematic look to the footage that you shoot when you're inside of this app. And so you can see how simple it is to change your frame rate within this app by literally simply clicking the number that you want to shoot at. Now see how easy it is to go back and forth from 60 to 24 frames per second. Or if you want to even have a smoother look, now you have the option of 120. I usually wouldn't go higher than 120 shooting a home tour, but you also have 24 frames per second. So you have so many more options within this app. It makes it worth the money. So now you'll see me going from out of focus to in focus, which is another way that you can give dimension to your video. And then panning in 24 frames per second using the Filmic Pro app. Look how beautiful and smooth this footage looks. And so you can do so much within this app. Again, I'm just going to go back a little bit so that you can see how great this looks using the iPhone and Filmic Pro. And now I want to share with you what it looks like to use your iPhone with 24 frames per second. So it's a little bit more jittery. It's not as smooth as using the Filmic Pro app, but it still gives you that beautiful cinematic look when you're shooting community footage, when you're shooting home tours, or whatever video content that you are creating. So I want to encourage you to play with your camera settings on your phone and do it before you go out and shoot something that's really important, or use your walks in the morning or when you're going out and waiting for something to pull out your iPhone, play with the settings, and see what type of footage that you like and what you come up with as you continue to get better at using your camera, getting in front of your camera, and shooting different types of contents. Oh my gosh. shooting a little bit of video, and seeing what type of content that you create. So I would love to hear from you. What happened when you changed your camera settings on your phone? How did your footage turn out? And if you had any problems or suggestions, I would love to hear them in the comments. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait for you to join me next time. And in the meantime, get out and shoot your videos.